This is Peter Thomas Senese, the author of Chasing the Cyclone, and we are about to discuss, are there any warning signs or potential warning indicators that you might be able to find or see if in fact an international parental child abduction is being planned. Now the reality is there are no foolproof warning signs that your spouse or ex-spouse is thinking about taking your child across international borders with or without your knowledge or permission. However, there are in fact many signs and signals that can provide you with insight that your spouse or former spouse is intending to abduct your child. Most of all, you need to trust your instincts. If you have reason to believe that your spouse is in the process of contemplating any type of abduction of your child, you must not wait. Contact your local police and a lawyer familiar with family law and custody matters. You may need to file an ex parte emergency without notice motion to the court of jurisdiction where the child lives, seeking that court's intervention prior to when the abduction or wrongful retention occurs. Under most laws, the judge will have to hear your application so long as you present enough strong and credible evidence that your spouse or ex-spouse is planning to take your child across state or international borders. Be aware of the possibility of any type of abduction. Although there are no foolproof warning signs for abduction risk, some indicators should not be ignored. Most of all, do not stick your head in the sand and pretend that your child is not at risk. The vast majority of international child abductions occur by a parent who is determined to cause hardship and harm to the other parent. The instrument that they use in order to cause this harm is the child or children of the marriage. A significant number of leading therapists and experts who deal in the matters of international parental child abduction all over the world have stated in numerous reports that revenge is the primary and leading reason why one parent will try to end the other parent's relationship with their child. Therefore, if you are involved with a person who has jealous or revengeful tendencies, you must be aware that these characteristics are common in the vast majority of would-be parental child abductors. If your spouse or ex has spiteful and vengeful tendencies and has in the past used the child of your marriage or relationship to cause you harm, pain, and suffering, or has tried to control and manipulate your actions, then your concern should be magnified tenfold. If the same individual has family members in another country and has lived in another country and has expressed a desire or threat to move there with your child, then your concern should be magnified 1,000-fold. If there are concealed, hidden, or abrupt communications with individuals or family members living in a foreign country, this is in fact a signal. If there are concealed, hidden, and abrupt communications with a lawyer, this too is a signal. If there has been frequent previous trips with the child to a foreign country without you, this too is a signal. If your spouse or ex has a large amount of family and friends living in foreign countries, this is a signal. If your spouse or ex-spouse has no strong ties to the child's home state, this is a signal. If your spouse or ex has no financial reason to stay, this is a major signal. If there is evidence of previous abductions, disappearances, or threats to abduct the child by your spouse or ex, these indicators demonstrate that any new abduction threat is real and in more likelihood already planned. If your spouse or ex has citizenship to another country and strong emotional or cultural ties to their country of origin, this is a signal. Unexplainable removals of cash deposits and diminished assets, or unexplainable increases in credit card or bank debt are all major signals. If your spouse or ex has concealed new credit cards or bank debt, this is a signal. If there has been shipping of personal items to a foreign country, or a past tendency of your spouse or ex to live abroad, these are both signals. If your spouse or ex-spouse has the horrible capability of using your child as a tool in order to gain access to non-joint assets of yours, this is a major signal. Don't be blind to this. If your spouse or ex is engaged in planning activities such as quitting their job, selling their home or breaking their lease, closing bank accounts or liquidating other assets, hiding or destroying documents, securing new passports, new birth certificates, or obtaining school medical records, these are all important signals that need to be considered. If there is a history of marital instability, a lack of cooperation with the other parent, domestic violence, or child abuse, these are all important signals. If there is an announcement of an unexpected trip to another country with the child, this is a major signal, particularly if you're not invited. If your spouse takes high-valued items such as jewelry upon departing to another country, this too is a signal. If your spouse or ex is adamant and unwilling to leave the child behind with you when they are traveling to another country, this is a major signal that in more than likely an international parental child abduction is being planned. In certain jurisdictions, whereas both parents have joint custody, it is conceivable that a parent possessing a right of custodial authority over the child can legally remove the child of the marriage or partnership to another country for an undetermined period of time, like claiming a holiday or some type of short-term trip, without needing permission or actually informing the other parent if a pre-existing travel arrangement is not in place already with the courts. So essentially, a parent exercising their right of custody over their child can legally remove the child of the marriage or partnership without any type of permission required from the other parent if a court order is not issued previously. Not surprisingly, Many international parental child abductions occur when one parent takes the child of the marriage to another country for an alleged short family visit. However, in reality, that person has no intention of ever returning with the child to the place of habitual residency. What typically happens next in these scenarios is that the abducting parent, unknown to the left behind parent, files for a divorce in the country that they have abducted to. The divorce motion and the affidavit filed makes claim to all sorts of cruel and dangerous behavior against the spouse. Thus, that's the reason why they are able to file typically an ex parte or without notice motion. So you don't even know that divorce papers have been filed and that a motion of abduction or removal of contact is in place between you and your child or children. Now, once the divorce lawsuit is filed, obviously the abducting parent usually will go underground with the assistance of family and or friends who usually assisted in the planning of this act. It is critical to note that deception is a critical element in these types of scenarios. The left behind parent is left to believe that the partner and child are on a short vacation, typically to visit families, members of the other partner, at the time that the child and the partner depart. A few days or weeks later, reality sets in with either a phone call or a letter saying that the partner and child are not returning and that a divorce action has been filed. So even if you think that you're happily married, it is greatly advised to have a legally binding and court-registered travel agreement in place prior to either parent exercising a right of custody is granted permission to leave the country with your child. The fact is that most chasing parents never expected to have their child or children abducted. Remember, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And remember that most international parental child abductions are carefully planned and typically involve the help of others. I'm Peter Thomas Senese, the author of Chasing the Cyclone. I hope that this information may be helpful.